So now going back to, for example, my own situation now, just to have some context, let's just say I'm on salary. I'm on just a casual entry-level Australian salary of 60 to 70 grand a year, and I might have a side hustle here and there.
Yeah.
So, you know, in this current example, let's just say in a very realistic example right now, you know, for myself, I'm on a $60,000 salary, and off my $60,000 salary, I also have $100,000 in savings that I've amassed over the last couple of years, and I'm now looking to buy a property anywhere up to, I don't know, call it 600 grand. Now, if that's the situation, and I'm looking for a property that goes up to 600K, I have a 100K deposit. Now, what would you say is the best sort of strategy for me there? You know, someone that's mid-20s, you know, still working, income still growing, side hustles growing as well. You know, getting promotions at work. What play would that be to enter real estate? Because looking at the Sydney market, I can't afford a $1.5 million house. You know, I can't afford a $1 million apartment. It just doesn't work that way. And I want to get into the real estate game as an investor, not as someone that wants to live in the property, but as an investor. What would you say is the best sort of thing for me to do?
Okay, so let's say you've got pretty good job security. Okay, let's say you're making that $70,000 a year. But you're in a good stable job. You're not going to risk being replaced or retrenched at any time soon. So you've got good stable income. What I would first start off with is figuring out, well, where do you personally want to get to financially in the next 5 to 10 years? Now, this is a very important question, because the reason is a lot of people that I've spoken with, my personal experience is they invest blindly without a goal. Okay, so everything looks good to them. Right. So it's like going on a holiday. Okay. You have to first pick the destination. Before you pick your transportation.
Correct. That's true. Right? I'm not going to swim to Fiji, for example.
Exactly. Right. So you figure out, all right, well, for me to go to Fiji, I'll probably have to get a cab to the airport, and then I
jump on a plane,
and maybe get a bus to the hotel, whatever. Right. But when most people, when it comes to investing, it's like, they first think of, which plane should I catch? Which bus should I catch? So they end up just buying the wrong thing, which is not getting them where they want to get to. Okay, so let's define the goal. So in Australia, if you want to have a decent lifestyle as a single person, you probably need around $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Okay, and
this is after tax
after tax?
Gotcha.
After tax, because assuming you're renting, and assuming you want to have be able to go out with friends, once a week, and maybe a holiday, small holiday once a year, you need $4,000 or $5,000 easily. Okay, so let's work out what that is. So that's $50,000 a year. After tax. So before tax, that's $70,000. So it's basically replacing your income.
Correct.
Okay. So the quickest way to generate $70,000 in passive income is if I gave you $1.4 million. Correct. Okay. So in case some viewers don't understand why that's the case, maybe I'll just go into that very quickly. So if you bought real estate in Australia, assuming you bought the right properties and you've held it for a few years, it should give you an average 5% rental return. Okay, so if you bought a house for $500,000, it should be giving you $25,000 rental income
per year. Gotcha.
Per year. Okay, so if you had $1.4 million, okay, and you invested that $1.4 million, and assuming you bought the right property, which is very important, then your portfolio should be giving you $70,000
in passive income.
Right. So now we know what we need to get to. Okay. We need to work out, Alan, how can we make you $1.4 million in the next 5 to 10 years based on where you're starting. Okay. So now we've got the goal. We've established the goal. The goal is $70,000 in passive income or $1.4 million in cash profit or net assets. Okay, so then we work backwards. Okay, so If I'm sticking just with real estate,
Yep.
so I'm not relying on my business or side hustles, blah, blah, I'm looking at my portfolio in isolation, then what I need to do, which is the most, I suppose, straightforward and low risk method,
Yep.
is to buy $1.4 million worth of real estate.
Paid out.
No.
No. Okay.
Just value.
Okay, value.
Okay.
Yep.
$1.4 million in value
Yep.
within the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Okay. Now that 1.4 could be made up of 90% bank loan.
Yep.
And 10% your own money.
Okay.
Okay. The reason for that is, let's say you went out and bought 3 properties tomorrow.
Yep.
And they're each around 500,000.
Yep.
Okay. So you've got a portfolio now that's around 1.4, 1.5 million dollars.
Yep.
Okay. And let's say 90% of that is from the bank.
Yep.
And if you just sat on those 3 properties for the next 7 to 10 years, it should double in value.
Right.
Okay, because if you look at the historical data of Australian properties, it's doubled every 7 to 10 years.
Gotcha.
Okay, and going forward, I strongly believe the trend will continue because the fundamentals in Australia are very strong with migration, limited supply, and all that type of stuff, which I can get into later on. So let's say you had these 3 properties collectively worth $1.4 million, and you sat on it, you held it for the next 7 to 10 years, it would now be worth $2.8 million. Okay, and then so what you've got now is you've got at least $1.4 million of equity, net assets, and you should now have a portfolio that's giving you $70,000 of net income.
Right.
Now, what you could do from that point onwards is you can say, you know what, maybe I'll sell 2 of the properties or 1 of the properties, whatever, and I get rid of all the debt.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say I have $1.2 million worth of debt.
Yeah.
Okay, from the bank to buy my portfolio.
Yeah.
7 to 10 years later, my portfolio is now worth $2.8 million.
Yeah.
I can now choose to sell 2 of those properties.
Yeah.
And get rid of
all my debt.
All my debt. So now I've got a property that's worth $1.4 million, no debt, debt free.
Yeah.
That's giving me 5%, $70,000.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So how does that relate back to you? Is figuring out how can Alan buy 3 properties around $500,000 in the next 2 to 3 years.
Correct.
You've got $100,000 right now.
Yeah.
Your accountant and your broker has said you can borrow enough money to buy $500,000-$600,000 house.
Correct. Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
So we start there. So we go and find a property that you can hold on to, which means it's at least neutrally geared.
Yep.
It's breaking even. It's not costing you money out of pocket in a high growth area.
Right.
And maybe then in 1 year's time, that $500,000 property is now worth $600,000.
Yeah.
So now you've got an extra $100,000 in equity there.
Correct.
Take that equity out. Maybe you can take $70,000, $80,000 equity out.
Yeah.
Buy your next property.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing. Okay. It's neutrally geared, high growth area.
Yeah.
You buy another $500,000 property 12 months later. Okay. Now you've got $1 million worth of property.
Yeah.
And let's say in another year's time, that $1 million, now you've got 2 properties, don't forget, have each gone up $100,000.
Yeah.
Now you've got an extra $200,000 of equity. Now you could take out that $200,000 or a portion of that to buy a 3rd property in year 3, around $500,000.
Yeah.
So now you've got the 3 properties that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the game plan.
Okay. Hold on. Before we continue, can we get the whiteboard?